Thank you. And thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate your time very much. I was very excited when John asked if I can make, a spot for you to come on. I was just like, I looked up your name and I was like, man, why does this guy look so familiar? And then I was looking up the IMDb. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen you in so much shit. Oh my God, I know who you are.
Well, I told the manager way back, he goes, "What are your goals in acting?" And I go, "I'd like to be that guy that nobody knows his name, but you see him everywhere." And he goes, You can work long and forever if you want to." I'm like, "Yeah, I plan on that."
Well, you're doing an amazing job because I when I went through your IMDb and everything, I was like, oh my God, does this list ever end? Like, my Lord.
And the funny part is, some of the really good stuff I could never get on there because it never got posted, which is okay. I mean, when I'm on set and people are like, "Oh, I just got my 20th or 25th or 30th credit. I'm doing so good." He goes, and they go, "What do you have?" I go, "I got a few." And then they look and like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "No, I have been very blessed, I have to say. I mean, knock on wood, knock on anything. I mean, I've been so blessed in this business. And that's why even when somebody asks, not so much you, but when somebody asks a favor, it's like, don't, I don't need anything. Pay it forward to somebody else. Pay it to somebody that needs it. I've got more than enough. I'm not rich by any manner of means, but I'm doing well.
You're so awesome. You really are. I love your attitude and your way, the way you put it out there. That's so nice. It's so refreshing to hear somebody speak like that and have that attitude.
I mean, I wish more would do it. And this came actually back in my wrestling days. And I actually took on the whole Green Bay Packer football team because they had promised one of their athletes there at a signing. This was for Special Olympics. He was a no-show. And they would come to me because I'm the only other athlete. And like, "Well, where's so and so?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't know. I mean, and like, "Well, why isn't he here?" I'm like, and try to explain that to a Down syndrome kid is almost impossible because they don't understand. And they came to see that player. And so I jumped all over that. And yeah, they were pretty mad at me, and I didn't really care. And so, but I called them all out on that. And had a letter to the editor that was posted the very next day. And of course, they're like, "Well, we put in, hundreds of thousands of dollars." I'm like, these kids don't care about that. They want to see you. They want to touch you. They want to talk to you. They want to take a picture of you. Whatever they want, that's our job to be there. And they weren't.
Well, that kind of I guess segues into my first question, which is what made you realize that you wanted to be an entertainer?
I don't know that I ever realized it. I mean, back in high school, I was a star athlete and all that kind of stuff with football and hockey. And then after that, I moved into gold glove boxing and then to underground bare knuckle fighting, and then into karate and then into pro wrestling. So although it's been almost all fighting, most of my life, it was also entertaining. I mean, boxing, we're trying to kill each other. Karate, we're trying to outpoint each other. Wrestling is much more of a show, but it's giving people entertainment. And I just kind of fell into it. And so, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I got no problem with that. Like everything, I go with the flow wherever it takes me. And this has done quite well for me.
Awesome. And that's crazy to hear that you did boxing and all this other stuff first before you did wrestling. I know you do stunts and acting and just you do a lot. You've got a lot of hats, sir.
Well, I mean, like the stunt part. I remember when I first got into acting, I thought, how cool would it be to be a stuntman? And I kept thinking, if I could just get one job as a stuntman, I'm a stuntman. And now I've had many, many, and they're again so blessed. But some of them were fun. Some most of the time stuntmen or stunt people, you don't know who they are. We're stunt doubling
Right.
somebody else. One of the ABC movies that I was, or that was an ABC movie. We were all motorcycle riders, and we had to scream around the hero car, and the less capable had to go on the middle of the street. We're on the PCH highway, the Pacific Coast
Oh.
Highway of, right along the ocean. And we
Mhm.
have CHP blocking traffic. So it's just us. So there's really no danger. But those of us who were more skilled drove on the shoulder, and there were garbage cans because it was garbage pickup. And sometimes we had just the width of the bike to get through there, and we're
Ooh.
doing like 50, 60 miles an hour. And, but things like that. People don't know who we are. I mean, I got a couple of nice close up shots with, the stars in the movie, but most people don't know who the stuntmen are, which I'm okay with.
You're brave. You're very, very brave. Because like I can't go very fast on a motorcycle. I've got too much anxiety. I'm just like, I'm good at like 45.
Yeah.
This is safe.
Even in the police cars, we've done chase scenes because I get so much as a cop where we're doing 80 to 100 miles an hour.
Jeez.
And I've even had one where I was chasing a motorcycle on the lake beds, dry lake beds here in California. And the kid was from France, if I remember right. He didn't even have a license. But he was going along and zigzagging, and I was whipping right with him because my job was to stay with him. I'm the cop chasing him. So, excuse me. So we had quite the chase scene, and another one of those cool, music videos.
Yeah, you've been a cop in a lot of stuff. Is that something that you normally seek out, or just something that's brought to you? Like, hey, we have this role. It's just so happens to be another cop. Are you interested?
Many years ago, and I was still wrestling at the time. I had a very long ponytail, so my new agent at the time, the commercial agent, called me in the office, and he goes, I want to see different pictures. He goes, I can't believe you've ever been hired with this one picture. But he goes, I see you as a cop, and my ponytail was halfway down my back. So he goes, but I see you as a cop, so I want a good cop, like a real fun donut eating cop, and I want a very stern cop. I did nothing but book ever since then, but I lost a lot of jobs because I couldn't wear a hat. Because in the hat, I would tuck the ponytail up inside. And I remember when I'm sitting there and it's the callback. So it's between me and one or two other people. That's it. And I saw everybody in the group just staring at me, watching me, everything I did, everything I said. And the director goes, oh, take off your hat. And he goes, oh, you got a ponytail? I saw everybody else go, back to work. Never mind. And I knew right there I'd lost a job. And so I knew it was coming time to cut the ponytail. The wrestling was, towards the end. And so I just made the decision one day and off it went. In fact, it's sitting right up there on my podcast.
I think guys I think not every guy, but I think a lot of guys go through that stage where they want to grow their hair really long and have that ponytail. My guy's kind of in that phase right now. It's almost towards the middle of his back, and he doesn't want to cut it for the life of him. And I remember my dad going through that too. My mom actually kept his ponytail too. She braided it and then cut it off.
Mine was more because of the wrestling and the image I had set up there. Mr. Outrageous had the mullet, the full mullet. But that was it back in the 80s and 90s, and it was somewhere I think late 90s when I finally cut it off. And and then I just kept working now, and I knew I was towards the end of my wrestling career, so it wasn't a big deal. And then all of a sudden, mid 80s is when The Wedding Singer came out. And I went from being one of the bad guys on the block to I could do no wrong. And I did not want that. I fought hard to keep that bad boy image. And I got worse and worse with the people, and they were just like, oh, no, you're cool. We don't care. We don't care. And I finally had to give in because at that point they had changed me to a good guy, and that's how I finished my career.
Oh, you know what? I will say, I love The Wedding Singer because I love Adam Sandler movies, and I love Billy Idol so much. I'm an 80s baby. I love Billy Idol. And that was my favorite scene in the movie when you stood up and you're like defending Billy Idol from being attacked by the other guy. And he's like, behind you.
Well, and actually, I mean, sadly, Billy has not done a lot of acting. So that was, I believe, our very first take.
Really?
And they had more, and they put sandbags to try to stop him from pushing that cart at the guy. He was trying to kill that guy. Oh. So he was definitely getting into character. He was running over these sandbags, it's just like, but anyways, it was fun. It was, they originally had written the script for David Lee Roth.
Really?
And then when I got the part, it was almost, 28 days from the time I did the audition and the callback to when they notified me I got the job. And then that night I get the script. A carrier comes over and here you go. So it's very cool. But I look at him like, not David Lee Roth, it's Billy Idol. And then, as the movie all developed, and, it all made sense. And, White Wedding and all that. It was perfect for Robbie and Julia to get together.
Julia Gulia.
Julia Gulia. Thank God that didn't happen. Sorry, Glenn. And Glenn, as evil as he was on there and such an asshole, he was such a nice guy. But
he seems like he'd be a really nice guy in person.
He was, and he was super, super cool. And, we all got the chance to talk. I remember seeing Drew Barrymore at the breakfast table in the morning, no makeup on, and just cute as heck. Oh my God, that girl. It's like you don't even need makeup. Of course, camera picks up every imperfection you have. I don't even think she has one. I mean, she's so pretty.
She is.
She's very nice too.
Oh, she is. And I know she had a hard time, growing up in the industry. And it's really, really nice to see that she has come from where she came from, and she seems like she's doing so well, and she's got her show and everything like that, and she's healthy and she seems happy, and so that's really nice. So I love Drew Barrymore.
I mean, thank God, she grew up or whatever all you want to call it. And I mean, many of us have trouble growing up with all of the stuff. I mean, when we're wrestling and when we're on the road for weeks at a time, and we have a tendency to get in trouble.
Well, you got to fill the time and entertain yourselves, not just everyone else. You got to be entertained too.
I know. Thank God I never went to jail. Knock on wood.
Yeah, jail's not fun. I was gonna say.
I mean, now I'm fortunate. I get to be the guy to cuff you and send you off to jail because that's my job.
Right. I saw today actually that you were in the Billie Eilish video, Bellyache as a cop too, and I was like, wow, you've been a cop, and just to reiterate, like you've been a cop in so many things. Like that's just so crazy.
My guess, cop wise, probably 300 to 400 videos. Wow. I mean, I don't even, it's hard to keep track of, and I don't even try. And all of a sudden, one of my daughters was like, "Hey, Dad, you're on TV. Do you remember this?" I'm like, oh God, I do. What? Play it back. I want to see it now. Because a lot of times I don't even ask, who the artist is and, the name of the song. I just go ahead and do my job, go home.
Nice.
So, but yeah, it's Billy. I mean, sweet girl, fresh into her career when we did Bellyache, and God, look at that girl go now. She's super hot, and also, she was so sweet. I mean, I didn't talk to her a lot on set, just when we were there, and sadly that day I was very sick. It turned out I had kidney stones, and I didn't know.
Oh, that's not fun.
And I didn't know what it was and all that. And eating the donut, I'd be chewing, and then they cut, and I'd run over to the ditch and spit it out. I didn't know. And yeah, that night I ended up in the hospital. So, but I was there to do my job, and we got some cool pictures, and yeah, it's fun to be with these stars before they're stars too.
Mm-hmm. So what has been, what role have you done that you've enjoyed most, that you can remember? Because you've been in so much.
Of course, The Wedding Singer. I mean, that was something that was so iconic. I remember first reading the script and thinking, oh my God, this is such a chick flick. And I'm surprised at how many guys step up going, I love that movie. Macho guys, not gay guys, macho guys. It's like, so, but the fact that, being in something that big, unfortunately we went up against Titanic that whole time. So we never got first place. Titanic.
Really? I remember when Titanic came out, but I don't, wow, was it really like that long ago?
Titanic was already there, but they had already done like maybe, 6, 8, 10 weeks.
Yeah, it was in theaters for a long time.
Yeah. They did so well. I mean, anybody would love to have something like that. But to be second to them is not a big deal because they were a blockbuster. But, it just turned out to be such a cute movie. And like I said, I'm surprised at the number of people that really do like it. But other than that, I would say probably my next biggest thrill was being Punchy in the Killjoy series. Now, most people don't know Punchy 3 was when John Lachago took over as the writer and director for Full Moon, and we all flew to China. We actually
Oh.
flew to Hong Kong, took a train into China, which it turns out, I guess we were illegally going over. We were going over as tourists when we were really working. Um, but anyways, being that, in Killjoy and then coming back in Killjoy's Goes to Hell and then Psycho Circus, I originally read Punchy as completely different. I mean, the director kept wanting me to be smarter and smarter, where I'm thinking, I'm a hobo clown. I'm the lowest. It turned out there's a whole tier of clowns. The hobo is the lowest. You're like a beginner clown. There's nothing lower than you. And then you go all the way up to like the Harlequins and stuff. Well, Punchy decides, screw all of you. I'm taking over this house. And by the Psycho Circus, I get this whole rebellion going where we're all like, no, we're all fighting and, you're all going down. And that's where I smashed the Harlequin in the face with the pie and his whole head explodes. So John Lachago, who invented Punchy, and the very nice part, thank you, John, is Punchy was written for me, nobody else.
Really?
He called me up. He goes, I have this part. Are you willing to do it? And I was always, I've been in every one of his movies. I'm like, whatever you want. I love working with you. And yes, without even reading it, without even knowing, yes. And so, yes, we went on quite an adventure with Punchy, and it's been fun. So that's probably been the most iconic.
Okay. I didn't realize there were so many of the Killjoy movies. I've seen Psycho Circus.
Yes.
And I will say like the rating on Psycho Circus, because Rotten Tomatoes and everybody will put their little number score, what they think it is. I thought the rating on it should have been way higher, because it was really funny. I really liked that movie a lot. I want to see the other ones. I haven't had a chance yet, but Psycho Circus I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. That was more Charles Band, the owner of Full Moon. That was, that's the name he wanted when we did the second one, which was Killjoy Goes to Hell, and John refused. He goes, no, I've got to make this one next. And this is where Killjoy gets in trouble because the girl in 3 got away, the human. So he gets called in front of the devil and has to explain why he let this girl go. And, that was very hard because Punchy at that time only spoke in Carney, which is a carnival language from way back in the beginning days of the carnivals. So when you'd walk up, we would talk about you or whoever in this little pig Latin kind of language, and nobody else could understand us. Now, I've walked into carnivals being a wrestler because that's, wrestling started in carnivals. So, and I've heard people say something else, and I stop and go, you're talking about me. And they're like, oh my God. You understand. And then I just tell them, this is, I can Tiyazaki as our knees. And they're like, oh, sorry. So right there, they know, okay, I've called them on their BS. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, Punchy had to testify in court in hell about Killjoy. And it's very hard for me to memorize something, then translate it in my head into Carney and say it. So I had to make boards that I could read, and I did it in English. So then as I'm reading it, I can go ahead and translate that way. But to do it in Carney, I tried, and it's just like, I can't do this. My brain just didn't function that way. So, but we were able to get it, and it was fun, and it was cool, and excuse me. And the fun part about the court is we actually shot in the boiler room of Freddy Krueger.
Ooh.
So it was very iconic. Now that whole property has been turned into condos. It's so sad. But that was Linda Vista Hospital. It was supposedly haunted. I hunted halls. I mean, I was all over that place looking for ghosts. Never found any because I did many projects there. So it was just one of those cool places that we get to shoot in. But yeah, great history for movies.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm so peanut butter and jealous.
Yeah, with me, girl, we can show.
So I know you've like we said earlier, you've done so many things, but what did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, the funny part was, um, my mom has bugged me for years. When are you going to grow up? I refuse. I just refuse. I didn't have any plans most of my life. When my buddies came to me, I had my own construction company, and I was doing security on the side, and my friends knew Hulk Hogan. And this is we're going over to Hulk's place. This is just after he finished Rocky 3. He had not gone to the WWF yet. He was still in the AWA. And so we went over to his apartment and he explained to us, how we got into the wrestling business. You had to go through a camp and he told us which were the better camps. And we happened to have a great one there in Minneapolis. So that turned out perfect. And but I refused for 2 years. I thought it was the stupidest idea in the world. My friends would come back. Oh, we were just in Hawaii. We're going to, you going to Europe. We're going to Australia. We're here. We're there. We're everywhere. You work for, 10, 20, 30 minutes and you're done. And we make more money than we ever did before. And we party all night. And pretty soon it's like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. Now, my two friends that got me into it, I outlasted both of their careers combined
Oh, wow.
doing it. So I still think it's kind of stupid. I mean, in fact, just in case your fans out there,
Oh, nice.
here's one of them. I see there's a little bit of glare there. And another.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've won quite a few belts, haven't you?
I've won 16 different championships. Some of them I've lost and had to get back. Some of them I just walked away from. One of the last ones was the Alaska Championship. And I knew I wasn't going back to Alaska anytime soon, so I gave it back because I wasn't going to defend it. But I went up there and we entertained the troops on J Bear, which is Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, which was, also very cool. I mean, I love working these military bases, and I've been to so many, so it's nice to give back to the troops who are giving so much for us. But yeah, I was up there and I won the Alaska Championship on that one, and so like I said, a really big deal. And but yeah, 16 different ones, and it's been a good run.
That's awesome. So if you're not gonna defend the belt, you have to give it back?
Yeah,
You can't keep it or
most of them.
okay.
This
I was like,
one
that's
was
new.
this one was made for just this event. Each event
Oh.
had one of these, so the winner got to keep the belt. This one I went up against, there were 16 of us, 15 other guys in the ring for this one at the same time. So that one I trained for 9 months and I trained hard. I wasn't in the shape I should have been. I was up to 12 to 15 miles every morning, and that still wasn't enough. Um, I was okay with where I was, but I knew I wasn't like when I was young and stuff. And but it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. That's it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't watch I grew up watching like the wrestling like Hulk Hogan, the Bushwhackers, um
Hey, Sam.
uh um Roddy Piper, all that. And then
So
I watched a little bit of
you're doing a hacksaw Jim Duggan there. I'm
yeah. I was trying to make my brain work really. So I all
yeah,
the permanent peroxide damage to the brain.
I'm
So
sorry.
eh.
Yeah.
I think I still have something in there. I hear it echoing, but I'm not sure.
Well, hello,
So
hello.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think closest I could figure is I've had at least 25 concussions with all the things I've done in my life. So, um, I've had some problems trying to memorize lines and stuff, and sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And but yeah, you talk about brain damage. I mean, between boxing and karate and bare knuckle fighting and pro wrestling. I mean, I remember one night I was working with Big Boss Man and he hit me with a big clothesline and I hit the back of my head on the mat. That was top of my shoulders and the back of my head. He went to pick me up. I'm like, Bubba, I'm only seeing stars. Let me sit for a minute. So he went off and did some things and came back. He goes, you better? Like a little bit. But yeah, I pretty much knocked myself out.
Jeez. Do you think the guys now have it as rough as what you guys had back then? Because you guys would actually bleed and stuff on stage or in the ring. Like you get cuts and all kinds of stuff.
A lot of that. And I wasn't happy with the movie The Wrestler, because that was
Yeah.
such a small part of wrestling. And that was more like the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
Where they did that, in every match, and they cut themselves open, and eventually you just have to go like this, and it starts bleeding. Just a hand. You hit them with a punch, and blood's all over because there's so much scar tissue. And I tell people, it says I don't have scars. I got one big one up in here when I took a chair over the head and took 9 staples to close it, and that was actually a charity event. I had all my friends come in. We worked for free for a young girl that I used to coach that got cancer and died. So I was friends with her and her family and everything, and a whole long story. But I agreed to put together this whole show for charity. And I've always told people, if you're going to hit me with a chair, hit me for real. Do not make it look fake. And so he did.
Don't stomp your foot and make the action.
Jump up and come down with both feet, but crack me. And I tell people, I don't care if it's a brand new chair. Bend that chair. I can take it. That shows everybody that this crap is real.
Yeah.
And so, 9 staples to close my head that night. And the doctor was really nice. He goes, oh, you're a pro wrestler. Then you don't need Novocaine. Click, click, click. And he's putting the staples in there with no. I'm like, oh, damn, this hurts. But it's like, no, you're going to treat me like that? I don't care. Yes, this is my whole thing. I'll move on because of it. And so I did. But anyways, I hated the wrestler because they did that every single match almost. And most of us don't. We're there to wrestle, and even the women. I mean, I know most of the Glow girls, and I would give them a bad time. It's like, I'm happy for you guys that you had a nice spot. You were learning to wrestle, which I appreciated. It wasn't a TNA show as much as it was a wrestling show. So that I was appreciative of. When WWF came back in way back when, with the exception of Sherry and Martel and people like that, they came in with just this, monster TNA show, and people were, okay with it. But the wrestling fans, I think, really wanted wrestling. And then they eventually made the girls go off and learn, which was awesome. And I've had to do mixed tag for years. And, where I'll have a singles match against the guy. The girls will have a singles match against each other. And then we will pair up, and I will have one of the girls on my side and one on the other side. And, Sabrina Fury and Satin Doll were, they would switch off each night because I was not nice to them. I used to tell them, when I spank them at the end of the match, my hand goes numb on the first slap. And I would hit it 5 or 6 times. Everybody in that building has to hear it. They can see it, but they have to hear it. When they hear that slap, instantly goes through your mind like, ow! So, but yeah, so they would switch off every night, and especially, Satin Doll, she's like, oh no, my ass can't take that 2 nights. We're switching.
She's like, I'm going to have to sit on like an ice pack the rest of the night. This hurts.
Yeah. But the best part is I'm still friends with both of them. They're both out in New York City, and we meet up every year in Las Vegas at our big convention there for Cauliflower. And I've made a lot of very lifelong relationships because of wrestling.
That's really awesome. Now, did you enjoy wrestling more than you do acting? Or, I mean, I guess wrestling is acting in a way, but it's a lot of hard physical work. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. My guest is Al Burke. Thanks, Al. Well, I mean, you guys had storylines and stuff, like.
A lot of it, I mean, the real big TV has their storylines that they have to kind of stick to. We didn't.
Okay.
We would go off, and like I said, we would do a 2 or 3 week tour where we're working almost every single night, jumping from town to town to town to town. And I remember one of the tours, we started in, I think it was Eastern Colorado, and then went all the way across to California and came back through Texas. And then that was it. So yeah, and we go off and, everybody thinks we're friends. No, we're not. This is a lot of egos. It's money. I got paid more because I was a champion. When I lost the championship, I didn't get paid as much and I wasn't happy. So I went and fought even harder to get it back. A lot of people are jealous, I guess you could say, of, our ranking, whatever you want to call it, the championships, and feel they're better wrestlers or they're better people or better talkers or whatever. And so, a lot of egos get involved, and there were some times it just got downright nasty and dirty in the ring. And I always said my best night of work was when I'm working with a really good friend that doesn't have an attitude, doesn't have an agenda, and we can go out and just put on a great show. And even when I ran shows, all I said is, I don't care what happens, give me a good show, make the fans happy. And most of my guys were really good about it, and it was awesome. So, and I don't care who won and who lost. I just care that the fans are happy, and that's my bottom line.
There you go. I like that. I like that a lot.
But there are some very mad, mean, knockdown, drag out, dirty fight times.
Sure.
You hit me too hard. Next thing you know, I hit you and you're bleeding, and now I'm bleeding, and yeah. So that's more the ugly side to wrestling, and it's not because we cut ourselves. It's because we got punched in the face and we got a bloody nose or a split eye or something, a fat lip, and so that's more the ugly side that we really don't. That's not what people pay for. They want to be entertained, and so no matter what our feelings are, we try to put them aside and give a good show.
Yeah, and just be professional about it.
Exactly.
Now, do you have any projects that you're working on or that you got done working on that you can tell us about?
Well, currently I'm setting up for this year, 2022, to go off and start doing autographs at these Comic-Cons, comic book stores, all these different signings. So I'm kind of excited about that. I really, back to the wrestler of the movie, I didn't want to be that guy that has been. I love working, so I didn't want to, but I've been getting pressure for many years, especially as Punchy. Now, Punchy is going to come out at these conventions and things in full Punchy gear.
Ooh.
Everything. Fingers, the whole.
I was going to ask, are those gloves or is it prosthetics that are individually put on? Do you smash your hands before?
Prosthetics they made that my finger slips into, but then they cut out a glove and they glued it around the finger. So the glove fits on the finger. So carefully I put on so they don't rip. But those are prosthetics. I've got two different masks. I got the mask from Punchy 4 and Punchy 5. Punchy Goes to Hell and Psycho Circus. The one we used in China was a multiple piece mask. So I had the headgear that had to glue around here, actually more here, and then the mouth and nose that glued on. And that got to be quite troublesome, and it was just hard to keep and all that stuff. And so he went to a one-piece headgear, Tom Devlin from 1313 Effects, who's a master at making this stuff. So he did that as a one-piece, so I can just slip it over, and then, the hard part is fighting. Every so once in a while I'll move a little bit, and next thing you know, you can't see. So, and a lot of, a little trick to our stunt work when we're practicing, we start and we must end up in the exact spot we know we have to be in. So we'll walk through a fight and I'll do it with my eyes closed. I had one of Santa where, this couple were not following, Santa rules, and they were mean and angry and whatever. And I got in a huge fight with them. So I had to know every step, and I would lay boxes, gifts down. So I knew as soon as I touched it, that's as far as I could go. So if I touched it too hard, I had to cheat back just a hair. So little things. So I knew I was always in the right spot for camera and things like that. So one of our tricks of the trade. But yeah, you do it with your eyes closed, and if you can always start in the same spot, end up in the same spot, you're on cue.
That's awesome. That's a really cool trick. Or a tip.
Like dancing, same thing. If you're line dancing, you've got a certain spot to start and a certain spot to end.
Oh, I can't dance to save my life. I'm just I just can't. So I just stand in one place and do this.
I've had some cool ones where they bring in the choreographers. Actually, the 24-hour music video of Happy, Pharrell Williams.
Oh.
I was part of that. I had my own 4 minutes at 10:36 p.m., but we all had a choreographer that set up our whole dance.
Oh.
Well, you're talking, what, 200 dances? Because, it went every 4 minutes for 24 hours.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. But yeah, you learn, it's the same thing. You learn how to do it, and, you get it in your head, because that's what you got to do.
Got to get your job down.
Yeah. No, and if you don't, the comic book thing is, the big, kind of like side event, I guess. But I also just signed for Wicked Jack, the series that Helvira's Haunted Asylum of Horror by Morgan Wellborn. We've been in negotiations for a while, and we just settled a couple of months ago, and that'll be sometime later this year that we'll be filming that in North Carolina. So that's the big one that I know of, and things pop up every day. I actually got called last night to film today. I wasn't going to be done until just before this started, and I wasn't sure I'd be home. So for you, girlfriend, I turned it down just so I could be here.
No,
no, but I mean, you had already put out posters saying, me at 7 p.m. and I needed to be there for you at 7 p.m. So here I am. And, me missing work isn't a big deal, because I get 2 to 3 jobs every week, many times, different jobs. So I'm, as an actor, blessed. So missing 1 or 2 is not a big deal. And, but yeah, I had to take care of you.
Oh, well, now I feel even more special.
You are.
I was super excited to have you on. I really was. I was really I was counting down for this, because this was scheduled, I think, almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So I'm all like, the third, wait for the third. I was telling everybody, I was like, guess who I'm going to have on my show? But I can't say nothing yet to everybody. So
it's so funny. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, it's New Year's Day. Wow, the 3rd's almost here. Okay.
I know.
I had to get my brain set to do all this. And, it's a whole different mindset doing this kind of thing compared to acting. And, trying to have a recall of all the things I've done, or the fun things that I've done, and things like that is interesting. But we make it, and I hope you're happy. Thank you.
Oh, I am. I am so absolutely delighted. I've been on pins and needles all day, just like, what time is it now? What time is it now? What time is it now? I was waiting to get off of work this morning, because I work in basically the middle of the night, and I get off early, and I'm just like, okay, I have 6.5 hours to kill. What do I do now? I guess I'll just rewash all my dishes. So I don't know. I'll rewash all the laundry too while I'm at it. I need something to do for a while. So.
Yeah, I don't have a real job. I haven't worked in well over 30 years, not one day. So awesome. I have been blessed to be an actor and a stuntman and a pro wrestler, that I haven't had to have a real job. I've punched nobody's clock. I just punched them out.
You need that on a shirt. I don't punch clocks. I punch you out.
Yeah. That would be a Punchy thing.
Yeah, there you go. Punchy on the shirt.
When you watch Killjoy 3, the one we shot in China, Punchy has a boxing match with one of the people that fall into our realm. And my boxing gloves are about this big around. It's like, probably.
Oh, that's what's in the little photo right there. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Those are humongous boxing gloves. And that's what I beat up the guy with. Yeah.
Okay. No, I definitely want to see all the other ones, because I watched, I think I watched the Psycho Circus last week, and I watched it with my guy, and he's like, this movie got a low score. It's not going to be very good. And we watched it, and we were laughing the whole time, and we're like, okay, we got to watch the other ones now. This was pretty good. It gave us a whole bunch of vibes from other movies that we really enjoy, and we're like, these are good movies. These people don't know what the hell they're talking about. These are good movies.
You know what else got a really bad score by Rotten Tomatoes? the wedding singer.
Oh, you know what? Screw Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, no,
They
I agree.
suck.
It's like, I've been making money ever since that movie. I shot that movie. So kiss that with,
Right? Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, I think I've yacked your ear off enough. So, thank you so much for being on. I really, really appreciate your time. I was super excited to have you on. Before we go, do you have any last words for the viewers watching?
Um, I hope you all enjoy what we do. I mean, we work hard. We're here to entertain you. That's like coming to these conventions now. We've even talked. I've got like a little fan base of, I guess you'd call it like groupie clowns. But what they're going to do is every single Comic Con I come to, they're going to come together with a punchy groupie group. They haven't come up with a name yet, but we're going to get everybody together for a photograph that we're going to start doing all across not just the country, because I've heard from England and I've heard from Germany, and I just talked to Newfoundland last night. So I will be going to other countries doing this too. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to just have a whole group of, and it doesn't have to be just, clown girls. It can be clown guys. But I thought it'd be fun with Punchy and his whole posse. I guess posse would be the right word, not groupies, but his posse. So it'd be a posse every single town I go to. So we thought that would be kind of cool.
A Punchy Posse.
Yeah.
That's badass. I like that.
Yeah. So and maybe you could be, part of Punchy's Posse when I come somewhere close to you.
Hell yeah. When do you have like a scheduled date yet for when you're going to start your convention circuit?
Unfortunately, I just got notified like 2 weeks ago, I think it was just before Christmas, with the new COVID variant, that's putting a hamper into things. I'm pretty much dedicating the next year of my life to doing this. So whatever I get, I'll go back traveling, being all over the town and maybe all over the world. And so nothing is really set in stone yet that I know of. My manager has not told me, but as soon as I do, I could let you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I live in Southernish California. So if you're ever, well, yeah, I'm in the LA-ish area. I'm about an hour and a half north of LA. So if you're ever down in the LA area.
Well, I'm just outside of Hollywood, so yes.
Oh, lucky. I love Hollywood.
So, but no, I got a list of like 4 or 5, but those are most middle California, that they're looking at. And those were all comic book stores, I believe. And I have one in Ventura, and then I have one in Orange County that I'm all in the works right now. So I'm looking at getting all over and having fun and meeting a lot of fans and just seeing where this leads me. A new road for me.
Hell yeah! Now, where can people find you at?
The best place that I can take people is on Instagram, and find me there. I'm holding a live tiger, a baby tiger.
I saw that. Super cute.
Yeah. I don't take anybody on Facebook anymore, but Instagram is, all wide open. And so, yeah, they can find me there. I usually post 1 to 3 pictures per day. I try to. That's, again, how blessed I've been working. So, and plus red carpets and things like that. So I'm always trying to do something out there. And so, yeah, you can be entertained there.
Okie dokie. Well, again, thank you so much for being on. You guys go harass Al. Go stalk him. Go be a Punchy Posse groupie.
Yeah, I guess groupie wasn't the right word. Posse is what we're going to put together.
Punchy Posse.
It's kind of cool all across the nation, everywhere I go, or even the world, to have people showing up just so that we can all get a big group picture of Punchy and his posse would be awesome, I think.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to see how all that starts turning out too. So
me too.
It'd be cool to see everybody like come up with their costumes and what they can put together
Yeah, I've had
to try to
a few.
match.
Well, my manager put together a like a fan page, but if you gave any money to a children's charity, I would give you an autographed picture of Punchy for free.
Oh,
Um,
very cool.
and we've only had like maybe 10 of those so far. I don't think it's been going quite a month yet. But anyways, that's another way if you can't get out to see Punchy. But and that's something that I've been personally paying for myself. So
Oh,
I make the picture. I personally sign it to whoever you want. Whatever name you want. Remember I think the very first clown was a Sweet Pea, and she was a clown in New Jersey, somewhere out way east. And so she was the very first one to jump on. And so, the different ones. So she dressed up as her clown self holding the picture. And then we post her with that picture on that website to show that, and I don't ask. I mean, it's not up to me to keep track. She said she made a donation. Thank you, whatever it was. If it was a penny, if it was, a dollar, $5, $10, it doesn't matter. I went ahead and I did my part, and I signed an autograph for each one of them.
that's awesome. I'll find the page and I'll make sure to put the link in the description for the video too. So that way maybe it'll help people pay it forward a little bit more.
And that's
So
like I said earlier. That's my whole thing: pay it forward, help somebody that really needs it. And I always looked at children's charities because these kids, most of them, had no choice. And you know, my thing always was they couldn't have done enough things wrong to get like these cancers that killed them and things like that. And so I decided that was going to be one of my causes. So pretty much all I do is children's charities. I mean, even though like Special Olympics goes all the way through adults, it's more about the kids.
that's beautiful. That really is. I love that. You guys look for the link in the description for the video tonight, the video notes, whatever you guys want to call them. You'll find it. You'll see it there. Um, and check out Al on his Instagram page. And that's it. That's it. That's all we got. Thank you, creeps, for watching. And I will attempt to be back for Creepy Kitchen Friday night when I figure out what weird thing I'm going to make for you guys. So, or what you guys tell me to make for you guys. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have nightmares about me. Mwah!